Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as you are able to join the Edina High School Concert Choir in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose red stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched through so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the most bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ah! My bad. I had to get that out. Wait, is this thing recording? It is? Oh, okay. Anyways, hello class of 2020. We have endured about 2.5, almost 3 years here at the high school, wouldn't you agree? While being quarantined, I'd spent most of my free time watching Netflix and sleeping. But after deciding to finish the Netflix series Tiger King, after thinking, did Carol Baskin kill her husband or not, I decided not to give that too much thought and just move on past that. I decided to rewatch some of the old shows without the looming panic of an essay due at 11:59 that night, and I was just pressing play on my hour-long episode at 9 p.m. But time management and I never got along well. But watching Netflix, we got along quite well. One of the shows I decided to revisit was The Flash, and Captain Cold once said, "Make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, and throw away the plan." That's exactly what happened this year. I took the liberty of Googling the definition of the class of 2020 in the Urban Dictionary, and this is what I got. The best class out there that got their senior year taken away from them by the coronavirus. Yes, our senior year did get cut short, but we didn't get our last chance to break any more high school records, state records, or go to prom. But during our time here, we supported our classmates on their successes and losses. It shows more about who we are as a class and our legacies that we leave behind. We'll have our own 2020 version on how we wanted to get through school, but some of us didn't expect to meet more amazing people that we would call friends and change our plans. I know 2.5, almost 3 years doesn't seem like much. There are many times that happened, from cops concerts to championship games to dress code riot and walkouts. I want you to take a trip down Valley View Road with me. There are many things in life that give me the rush of adrenaline, but the most common one was simple, but yet so vivid. To put it simply, waiting to hear the bell ring at 3:16 on a Friday afternoon, counting down the seconds, knowing your bag had better been packed as you bolt out the door and run towards your car. But as soon as you got to your car, you realized that the parking lot was an entire game of bumper cars. But you don't want to actually hit the car in front of you, because that wouldn't be good. So basically, it's called organized chaos in short. There was this one time. I thought I was going to die because as I was leaving the parking lot, trying to get onto Valley View, this lady in her G-Wagon decided to hop the curb and get in front of me because there was just enough space for both of our cars to be there. So the parking lot makes all of us crazy, and not just the seniors who think everyone should not be driving in this lot. I also remember sitting in my first hour block class on Wednesday morning, hearing Marshall's lovely speeches about how we needed to sign up for Flex Block. The most iconic line being, "Marshall out." One of the biggest rivals inside the school was the Southview versus Valley View on the last day of 9th grade. Crazy. Southview decided to go to Valley Fair and have the time of our lives, versus Valley View was taking pre-finals to help them with high school. I guess maybe Southview should have taken pre-finals, but I'll take Valley Fair any day. But even with all those memories and experiences, we came together to make an amazing group of people as a whole. Yes, we may have had our senior year taken away from us, but I have one more quote from Pretty Woman. Vinnie Ward says it best. Actually, no, I'm not a planner. I wouldn't say I'm a planner. I'm kind of fly by the seats of my pants kind of gal. You know, live into moments. I want you to live in the moments with your pets, your friends, and your family. Those moments are going to make you feel most alive, and you don't always have to stick to a plan to think where you want to go. Take the risk and prove yourself more. Even with our time only being 2.5, almost 3 years long, but we were resilient and can adapt to change. And congratulations to the class of 2020. We did it. I get the honor of introducing our next guest speaker of the 2020 virtual graduation ceremony, Superintendent Dr. John Schultz. I hope you could have your popcorn in hand and a comfy chair. If you don't have either of those things, pause the video and go get them, because he is going to take you on a road down his passions throughout the community with leaderships and wanting all of us to hold ourselves to higher standards. But without further ado, Superintendent Dr. John Schultz.
Thank you, Alexandria, and welcome to the 70th annual commencement of Edina High School. Commencement is the crowning jewel of the school year. It is the time for the school district community to celebrate the accomplishments of the class of 2020. At this time, I would like to welcome our speakers. School Board Member Julie Green, School Board Member Ellen Jones, Edina High School Principal Andy Beaton, Edina High School Teacher Michael Roddy, Edina students Alexandria Russell, Brendan Smith, and Hailey Felt. I would like to express appreciation to our current and former school board members, administration, teachers, and students. And a special thank you to the high school leadership, counselors, support staff, and parents for preparing for this program and our community commencement celebration. A tradition at commencement is to acknowledge alumni. Over 38,000 graduates of Edina High School are thinking of the class of 2020 this weekend. Thank you for your legacy and support. I especially wish to thank the educational partners that have guided, supported, instructed, and encouraged the class of 2020. This team includes Edina Public School staff, parents, guardians, and family, and our community. Thank you for your great teamwork. Finally, I am honored to welcome the graduating class of 2020. In normal times, we would all be together filling a college arena with parents and family, school, and district staff. And I would be looking out over a sea of green caps and gowns. But these are not normal times, and it is hard to do this in an empty auditorium. I miss seeing your happy, eager faces on this important day. In normal times, many commencement speakers tell graduates that they may face hardships in their lives, that sometimes life is not fair, but they need to find strength and resilience and to persevere toward reaching their goals. But these are not normal times, and those are lessons you have already learned over the past several months. And so, in these not normal times, I am going to skip giving you the normal commencement advice. Instead, I want to express my deep admiration. To use today's vernacular, the class of 2020 has been adulting for some time now, and you've done it brilliantly. You have each in your own way conquered the challenges of the past few months. You have endured the disappointment of missing significant events and activities. You have demonstrated strength, resilience, and perseverance. I'm impressed and proud of this graduating class, and I hope you take great pride in your accomplishments. I wish for you, graduates, that normal times will return soon. I wish you continued success, and I look forward to seeing the strength, creativity, and spirit that the class of 2020 brings to our world. Congratulations, graduates. And now, I would like to introduce to you Edina High School's principal, Mr. Andy Beaton.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Beaton, and I am so proud to honor this class. Edina High School families, as you listen to the voices of our students tonight, you will hear their stories of academic achievement, perseverance, and personal growth. Each of these voices paints a picture of the experience, talent, and determination of the class of 2020 and the strength of our community. With this in mind, I want to briefly introduce a few of our graduates that exemplify the character of this community and to demonstrate how each Edina High School student has walked a different path to get here today. Introducing Sophia Bowman. Hi, Sophia. Sophia grew up in California, then moved to Duluth in Minnesota before moving to Edina in elementary school. Sophia lives by the mantra that if you work hard, you will have more opportunities. She has also learned over time, however, to not look too far ahead. recognizing the balance between success and struggle. Sophia had tremendous success as a student athlete at EHS and will take her growth mindset to the University of Minnesota, where she will study pre-med and play soccer for the Golden Gophers. Thank you for inspiring us, Sophia. Next, meet Emo Ismail. Emo moved to Edina in the middle of elementary school and initially struggled with the significant change in culture and student population of EPS. Emo describes times in his academic career where he lost focus and credits mentors in his life, such as social studies teacher Scott Statham, for keeping him on the right path. As a leader in the Black Student Union and through poetry and public speaking, Emo found community at EHS. He shared that it is amazing what you can accomplish when you overcome fear. Emo will continue his studies at Normandale this fall and will begin a marketing internship at either 3M or Target this summer. Thank you for your leadership, Emo. Introducing Evan Judson. Evan didn't initially love music. He hated practicing the piano and played the saxophone in the band mostly to hang out with his friends. He credits his Valley View Middle School band director for inspiring him to try the bassoon. Since then, his parents can't get him to stop practicing. Through playing in the Twin Cities and Minnesota Youth Symphony, he was given an opportunity for a blind audition for the top band and orchestra ensembles at the University of Minnesota. Little did they know that they would soon select a high school student to play alongside undergraduate and doctoral students at the U of M. Evan credits outstanding EHS teachers for providing the support and flexibility he needed to follow his passion. He also believes the leadership opportunities he had through GSA helped him find his voice and community at both Valley View Middle School and Edina High School. After multiple auditions around the country, Evan will be studying music performance at the New England Conservatory of Music this fall. Thank you for your excellence, Evan. And greetings, Ansal Sahal. Sitting in the middle of 7 siblings, Ansal continues to thrive while sharing the Wi-Fi at her home in distance learning. She credits her success at Edina High School to finding friends who share her values of academic drive and kindness to others. She also believes that her involvement in the AVID program provided her an additional family at school to both push and support her during her journey. Ansal is weighing her multiple options to explore the medical field at either Augsburg, St. Thomas, or St. Catherine's University this fall. Thank you for your spirit and kindness, Ansal. Self-fulfilling prophecy. How we perceive the purpose of our lives determines to a great degree how we live. The link between success and self-efficacy, that is, the belief that one has mastery over one's life and can meet challenges as they come, has been well established. Stephen Covey in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People writes about a see, do, get model. The see part is regarding our paradigms, or what we believe about ourselves and the world we live in. The do is about our behavior and our actions. To get what you want in life, effective people first have to believe in the possibility of a better future and in themselves. That's the see. Effective people also can't sit around and hope things will get better. They have to take action. There's the do. Graduates, what is your paradigm? With so much uncertainty, all of us are wondering what challenges the future will have in store for us. Will you continue to work hard and believe in yourself when things get difficult? Will you finish your degree, maintain relationships, and follow your passions? Your paradigm of success has to not only be about aspiration or hope, but rather about anticipation, where you have made a promise to yourself to do whatever it takes to better yourself and your community. Although each of you has walked a different path to get here today and will lead different lives going forward, I expect all graduates from Edina High School to demonstrate both character and competence. I hope you have come to realize that the world needs your creativity, compassion, and grit more than ever. As graduates of Edina High School, you have both the capacity and the responsibility to contribute to the well-being of others. The class of 2020 has demonstrated resiliency and grace, and their excellence has truly gone viral. I could not be more proud of a group of young people. Congratulations on this outstanding achievement. Under the direction of Chris Piella, I am proud to introduce the Edina High School Concert Choir singing "The Road Home" and our alma mater.
Tell me where is the road I can call my own, that I left, that I lost so long ago. All these years I have wandered, oh, when will I know? There's a way, there's a road that will lead me home. After wind, after rain, when the dark is done, as I wake from a dream in the gold of day, through the air there's a calling from far away. There's a voice I can hear that will lead me home. Rise up, follow me, come away is the call. With the love in your heart as the only song, there is no such beauty as where you belong. Rise up, follow me, I will lead you home.
As 2020 is truly a historic year, the EHS Graduation Speaker Selection Committee chose 3 students to represent their class at our commencement exercises. Please welcome our next senior, Mr. Brendan Smith.
Today is the momentous celebration of our graduation. Class of 2020, baby. Graduating from Edina is no small accomplishment, and I think that we can all agree that if our high school experience, especially our senior year, was a TV show, it was a long one, to say the least. Phineas and Ferb said there's 104 days of summer vacation, but honestly, it felt like 104 days of senior year. My name is Brendan Smith, and I am very happy to be here today as we run the credits on our final episode of high school. Whether you were a Disney Channel kid, a Cartoon Network kind of person, or a casual Nickelodeon fan, we grew up watching countless episodes of all our favorite shows. We saw Carly, Sam, and Freddie perform wacky skits on their web show iCarly. We wondered what insane contraption Phineas and Ferb would construct each day. and we eagerly waited for the next crossover episode, which I still think the Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana was the greatest crossover episode of all time, but I'll leave that one up for debate. And well, if you're one of those rare PBS kids, maybe you can't relate, but good luck, Charlie. With all these shows teaching us one valuable lesson after the next, there was always one thing lingering in the back of our minds while we watched. What are we gonna watch next? I mean, seriously, what on earth are we gonna do when SpongeBob and Patrick run out of jellyfish to catch? Or when our favorite character gets voted off on Total Drama Island? You can't expect us to just unplug and go outside or something. God forbid, pick up a book. Unless, of course, it's our generation's favorite, Diver Wimpy Kid. I know many of us, like myself, are eager to move on and say goodbye to this show and to this massive cast of 600 plus students. But at the same time, I know that some of us are a bit scared to move on after all these years. We're not sure if we're gonna find another great show like the one we found at EHS. But I have high hopes that all of us will, and luckily for us, Edina High School has taught us well. We have the necessary skills and abilities to land that next role. You'll find a passion or two, and for those overachievers out there, you'll find a couple more. And before you know it, you'll be on your way to success, as long as you keep your priorities in check and remember to sign up for Flex Block on Wednesdays. You'll remember to bring your ID with you everywhere you go, because you can't go anywhere without it, and more importantly, you can't get back in. And lastly, remember to make some friends along the way to make the time pass by in those boring situations. Like, for instance, mandatory counselor sessions in FIC and math classes on a block day, or really any class on a block day. Fortunately, if worse comes to worse and you still haven't found your next part, we know that the good shows almost always get a reboot. You could star in a spin-off series as a high school principal, but be careful, the students might hold a school-wide rally in the Commons to protest the dress code. Or maybe you'll reconnect with Troy and Gabriella as a star in their next series, College Musical. If there's one thing everyone can agree on, it's that finishing a show sucks. And unfortunately, the end of a show is inevitable. And we are here in our final episode, the one where they graduate, in quarantine, standing 6 feet apart in our driveways. This series might be over, but we know that there's always another show waiting for us. Some of us may star in a pilot episode that doesn't quite take off. Some of us may find ourselves sipping coffee with friends at Central Perk, and some of us may end up with a job selling paper at Dunder Mifflin. The script isn't written yet. It'll just take some time to scroll through the channels to find our next hit. Rest assured, there will be a new series waiting for each one of us. Congratulations and good luck, class of 2020.
Each year, the Edina High School Student Government sponsors the nomination and selection of a faculty member to address the senior class. At this time, I would like to introduce Edina High School science teacher, Mr. Michael Roddy, who will be joined by a few of his friends.
Why didn't I think of that? Hey, Mr. Sanger, Steve.
Oh, hey, Mr. Roddy, how you doing?
Well, I'm okay, but I'm feeling a little anxious because I have to get this commencement speech together in just a couple days. And to be honest, I'm having writer's block. And I was kind of hoping maybe you would take it for me and you would give the speech this year.
Ooh, I'm actually already giving a speech right now. Like a public educator, everyone wants a piece of us. So don't think I'm going to be able to help you out with that.
Meggie Trenda, I have an opportunity for you. I would like to offer you the opportunity to do this year's staff commencement speech.
Mike, I'm in Mexico right now. Not gonna make it. Lo siento.
Daniel Amborn, you are an English teacher. I need an English teacher's help because I need somebody to write my speech for me. Will you do it?
Oh, no, sorry, I'm a little busy. I'm finally going to get me that quarantine haircut.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks. Tim McManus, this is your last year at Edina High School. Surely you would like to exit by leaving some profound words of wisdom for the students.
Well, Mr. Roddy, to be perfectly honest, I'm starting a new job next week, and I was working on my bicycle trying to get it ready for the trip up to Coon Rapids. So I'm afraid I don't have time.
You got another job lined up already?
Well, times are hard. You got to grab what you can. But getting back to what you said there, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit miffed. This is my last year. Nobody's thrown me a going away party. I kind of feel like I'm a senior in the class of 2020.
Members of the class of 2020, first of all, I need to thank you for the honor of your having asked me to be here. And if you actually voted for one of those other characters you just saw, I totally don't blame you. I decided that since this year everything was a little different, that might give me an opportunity to do something a little creative and give you a chance to see some of those other people. Now, I assume those of you who actually voted for me are hoping to hear some stories from me tonight. I've certainly been aware of the power of storytelling for a long, long time, both in my classroom and before I was a teacher. But the question becomes, what story is appropriate to tell today to the class of 2020 graduating in this most unusual year? So let's try this one. It was August of 1984, the summer before my senior year in high school. I had been hanging out at my friend Dennis's house, and at the end of the evening, Dennis was driving me home in his family's old station wagon. The story's in 1984, but this car probably goes back to 1970, 71. It's a huge, long station wagon, and old. And we're driving down Lake Drive from one side of Shorewood to the other. Shorewood is the small suburb outside of Milwaukee that Dennis and I grew up in. And we're driving down Lake Drive with Lake Michigan on our right. And there's not much traffic because it's late at night and it's the summer and our windows are rolled down. And there's only one other car that we see on the road. It's a sports car in front of us, driving in the same direction we're going. And at each street to the left, because the lake's on the right, at each street to the left, this car turns on its turn signal, slows down, starts to turn to the left, and then we have to slow down. And then at the last second, they don't make the turn. They pull right back into the lane that we're in. And we follow them along to the next street, and they do it again. They slow down, we slow down, they begin to turn, and they decide not to turn. And about the fourth or fifth time they do this, I say to Dennis, you need to honk at them. And Dennis isn't very concerned, so he doesn't take any action. And finally, at about the 6th or 7th street, the car turns far enough in that they're pretty committed to the left-hand turn, and Dennis can finally get around them. And as Dennis passes them, I lean over and I honk Dennis's horn. It was not a very mature response, and I yelled something. I don't even know if I think I just said, learn to drive. And Dennis kind of laughs, and we keep going, and the car behind us pulls back in to the lane that we're in, and Dennis says, they're chasing us. They're chasing us down Lake Drive. They're in a sports car. We're in a 1971 Oldsmobile Cutlass something or other. And Dennis floors it and says, get your seatbelt on, because back in those days, we didn't always have seatbelts. The second row didn't even have seatbelts. And we start to turn into the neighborhood. We turn off Lake Drive to go into the neighborhood because he wants to lose this car. And here we are in a car chase, driving through the streets of Shorewood. We're in a boat and they're in a sports car. And at every street, they gain on us, and Dennis tries to peel away as he goes around different corners. And at one point, the part I remember most vividly is Dennis saying, I feel like he can anticipate every turn I make. And I said to him, Dennis, it might help if you stop signaling the turns. And we keep veering around the streets as we're moving closer and closer to my house. And I remember thinking, I don't exactly understand how this ends. Are we going to pull up in front of my house and I'm going to get out of the car?
Okay. Well, I guess we're holding up. Wait, guys.
Oh.
Steve.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Here, Maggie.
Nice. Why are we doing this? Given that the students would like to hear from all of us, I thought maybe we could work together to craft a message to the senior class. Maybe one word at a time. I'll go first. Too
many
times
have
we
been
stuck
here
at
the internet.
That was a profound message, and I think the class of 2020 is going to be really honored to hear it.
Yeah.
December 1984. It's the middle of my senior year in high school. I was in the pit orchestra for a show that we were putting on, and my friends Jane and Mark and I were the last band members to get out of the band room because we had to put synthesizers and speakers away. And we were waiting at an exit from the theater that was behind the stage, facing a pretty busy street next to our high school. And we were waiting for my mom to come pick us up. It was 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It's winter, so it's dark out. And the three of us are just hanging out at this door waiting for a ride. And we notice a guy across the street, across from this busy street, this high school kid walking down the street, and he's wearing a Whitefish Bay leather jacket. And Whitefish Bay is our arch rival. They're our next door neighbors. And we thought, well, that's weird. What's he doing over here? This is strange. Not like we really care. We don't have like turf wars with Whitefish Bay, but it seemed odd. And for some reason, Jane threw the door open and stepped out into the cold of the winter night and shouted, "Hey, excuse me," and got this guy's attention across the street. And he looks at her, and then she waves at him and goes, "Bay sucks." And she comes back in the room, back in the door. And Mark and I look at her like, what are you doing? We're like spindly little band geeks. If this guy decides to come over and start something, what are we supposed to do? So we're completely caught off guard. And he does exactly that. He turns, he starts to walk straight across this busy street, coming right at the door where Jane just called him. And we all just split. We realized we don't want to be here. And the three of us just run out of the hallway. And the only place we can really go from this hallway is back onto the theater stage. So we rush onto the stage. And as we make it onto the stage and the door to the hallway closes behind us, cutting off the light from the hallway, we realize the stage is completely dark. The tech crew is gone. There's nobody here. The lights are completely off other than little glints of exit lights. There's no way for us to see our way around. And then I don't exactly know how we made the decision to do what we did next, but like characters in a stupid slasher movie, we decided to split up. And we decided to each go check a different door. And our goal was to find a door where we could see the street where my mom might come pick us up, but not be seen by the guy. So we separate, and the door I went to turned out to be a dead end. It was an emergency exit. It wasn't going to work for us. And when I come back into the theater house, I can't find Mark or Jane anywhere. And I'm calling to them, and I feel my way back up onto the stage in the darkness. And I remember I'm standing front center stage as I call to Mark and Jane, and I hear Jane answer me from the balcony. And Jane says, "Just a minute, Mike. I'm just grabbing some books that I left up here." And I think to myself, she can't have any books up there. She hasn't been in the balcony. And I realize what she's really telling me is, the dude is in the building with us.
Okay, let's do something goofy. He's not doing it. Yeah, there we go, Tim.
May 1985. So it's the end of my senior year in high school. And my friend Jenny and I decided to take a bike ride up to Doctor's Park, which is a park north of our suburb. It's going to take us about an hour to get up there. But this isn't a normal bike ride because I own a tandem. In fact, that was my primary mode of transportation through high school. I didn't have access to a car. I would ride this tandem all the time. I would ride this tandem to school with nobody on the back. And I remember on one occasion riding to school, and a family in a car drove past me and pointed and started laughing because I was alone on the tandem. And I remember thinking, no, I look cool. This is awesome because it's unique and individual. And people, when I pass friends on the side of the street, if I say, "Hey, you want to ride? I'll get you to school," they always say yes, because who doesn't want to ride on a tandem? They're awesome. This tandem was older than Dennis's car. This tandem went back to the 60s or 50s, and your parents might remember this kind of bike. This kind of bike, first of all, doesn't have handbrakes. If you want to brake, you have to backpedal and apply pressure in order to brake the bike. But the other thing that was weird about this bike is it had 2 gears, and the way you shift the gears is by backpedaling. So every time you brake, you come back in the opposite gear from what you were in. So if you want to stay in gear, you have to actually double pump the brakes, so you come back in the original gear. Jenny lived near me, so I drove Jenny to and from school quite often, and so she knew the bike about as well as I did, and she and I had a rhythm with this bike. We knew when we wanted to single pump or double pump those brakes without much conversation. So she and I really understood how to use this bike well. And so we're taking this day to go up to Doctor's Park, and so like I said, we're driving up North Lakeshore Drive, and we're heading up to this park, and when you get up there, you have to turn off Lake Drive, and what we'd forgotten is it's downhill to get to the actual lake, to the actual park that's on Lake Michigan. And we'd forgotten it because I'd never taken a bike before. In a car, you don't notice. But as we're going down the hill, we realize that this is this winding, bending road, and it's really fun on the bike as we're gaining speed, and it's kind of awesome. And then we get to a point where the speed is maybe a little bit too much. So without much communication, we decide we're going to slow down, and we apply the brakes, but somehow a failure of communication ensues, and we come out of that with a single pump, and we're now in the wrong gear. And the pedals are flying incredibly fast, and our feet fly off the pedals because we can't keep them moving at the pace the pedals are going. And we can't get our feet back on the pedals because the pedals are slamming into our legs. So we're just riding down this winding road with our legs out like that, just laughing. It's awesome, it's hilarious, it's crazy. We're literally just laughing about the ridiculousness of it. And I remember thinking how cool this is as we're leaning into the turns and what control we have over the bike. And I remember the feeling of the wind rushing through my hair. And I hope you'll let me sit in that moment just a little bit longer. The wind rushing through my hair. And then my thoughts changed to, I don't really understand what comes next because I don't know how to stop the bike. We're getting faster and faster. We might veer off the edge of the road, and who knows when there's gonna be a car coming up in the other direction at any moment. I don't see how this ends well.
So in all seriousness, I think all the students voted for everybody here. They want to hear from you. So I'd like to hear, what would you like to say to the class of 2020? Tim, what would you like to say?
Well, this is a very, very strange situation we find ourselves in. I think no one expected to be doing this. Given that, I think as you look forward, I think the most important thing you can be is flexible. Try to grab every opportunity that comes your way, because it's hard to predict what the next one's going to be.
Thanks. Steve, what would you like to say?
I would say that I think this pandemic has shown us that at any moment, life can change very suddenly and very dramatically. And you might be the one who ends up struggling in some way. So my big message is to look upon others with empathy, knowing that pandemic or no, everyone's struggling with something and doing the best that they can.
Thank you. Maggie, what would you like to say to the class of 2020?
I think we've heard it in this pandemic, and it's highlighted the idea that even though we're physically distant, we can still be close together. And I think that this has highlighted the importance of building relationships and connecting with other people, even if you can't always be right next to them.
Daniel, what would you like to say to the class of 2020?
Yeah, as an English teacher, of course, I need to quote someone else. And so there's a quote that I really like to think of that is, "Your life is your life. Know it while you have it." And right now we are in such a different time. We can really just focus on our individual selves. We just really turn inward at this time, but I think it's really important to look out and see what we have and see what's around us and love all that we do have and appreciate it and help those that maybe don't have as much.
Thanks.
So that's their final message, and time now for me to wrap up. At this point, I've told you the better part of 3 stories. And so now I'd like you to log on to Pear Deck and vote for which story do you want to hear the ending. Obviously, I'm kidding, there's no Pear Deck, this is not live. But more importantly, I'm not going to tell you the endings. Look, I know a story without an ending can feel frustrating. We like our stories to have endings because they give us a sense of catharsis and they give us a sense of closure. But in life is not a story. Life is more than a story, and lives are not lived in the endings. Life is lived in all the moments. It's lived in the moments of adventure, in the moments of laughter and friendship, the moments where the wind is rushing through your hair. And there are difficult moments, to be sure, defined by disappointment or failure. And there are also positive moments, marked by resilience and victories. It's all of these moments taken as a whole that create a life. I wrote this speech before I filmed those Zoom meetings with my colleagues, but I'm recording the speech after the Zoom meetings, and I'm really glad it happened that way because it's going to let me close with this. I am not an English teacher, but I'm going to quote an English teacher who quoted a poet, Charles Bukowski. "Your life is your life. Know it while you have it."
Under the direction of Mr. Paul Kyle, I am proud to introduce the Edina High School Concert Band performing El Cumbanchero by Rafael Hernandez. Again, the EHS Graduation Speaker Selection Committee chose 3 students to represent their class at our commencement exercises. I am pleased to introduce our final senior address from Ms. Hailey Felt.
Hello, graduates. My name is Hailey Felt. Some of you may not know me, while others of you have known me for over a decade. Either way, it's an honor to be on your screen today. Now, you may think we have nothing in common, but I can bet that we've all played the same beloved and at times overly competitive games of Big Base and Satellite. We may not have gone to the same elementary or middle school, but we are all Hornets. We are a unique class. We've been told over and over since kindergarten that 2020 would be our year. That's what would make all this hard work worth it. And it really was the senior year that we'd hoped for, but clearly we aren't all together in Mariucci Arena walking across that stage today. And while the coronavirus took away many of the traditions we dreamed about, it cannot take away the 12.5 years of hard work, growth, and connections that we have created. This may not be the day we envisioned, but it's our day nonetheless. We've faced many challenges throughout high school, battled sleepless nights studying for AP tests, trying to find a balance between watching TikTok and being productive, begging our 7th period teachers to let us leave just 30 seconds before the bell, and the hardest battle for all teenagers, acne. But let me take you back to a simpler time, one where our skin was as clear and forgiving as we'd hoped our GPAs would be. It's 2007, the first day of kindergarten. Scared to leave our parents' side, but quick to start singing songs and making crafts alongside kids who we would soon learn to love, not realizing that it was just the beginning. Over the next 13 years, we were tested emotionally, mentally, academically, and physically. The mile and pacer test in particular, thank God that's over. We've made some mistakes, learned some lessons, but most importantly, we created friendships and memories to last a lifetime. I'm sure you all remember the fun and carefree years of elementary school with silly bands and the best day of all, the Scholastic Book Fair, the awkward phases of middle school filled with first crushes, cringy duck face and fear sign selfies, and the permanent smell of Axe body spray and Bath & Body Works perfume. The start of our teenage angst with freshman year still being in the middle school, yet our high school careers were just beginning, as was the weird fear of killer clowns. My freshman year, I accidentally set off the fire alarm while trying to make a crepe in French class. Not my finest hour, and one I have yet to live down, but anyways. It was only 3 years ago that we finally entered the high school, as technical sophomores, but still feeling like freshmen. Junior year rolled around, and with that came responsibilities and stress that made us wonder what it was all for. But with the end of junior year came the beginning of our senioritis as we saw the seniors of 2019 graduate. From entering the high school with dress code protests in full swing, to ending it with state championship games played on turf at the bank, ice at the X, and the pools at the U, we have made our mark. Not just in sports, Model UN, speech, debate, theater, and robotics have all accomplished great things as well. We have come so far, and although our second semester got cut short, I think we have to appreciate the time we did get. Watching our friends dance on court during Pep Fest, chanting the rowdy cheer at our last homecoming football game, the adrenaline rush of sprinting through the parking lot at 3:16, and Winter Jubilee are memories I will never forget. I want to thank all the Edina teachers, faculty, and community for lifting us up during these difficult times and all times, and reminding us that we were worth it, so thank you. And as we part ways to start the next chapters of our lives, we have to remember the wise words of Mr. Ferris Bueller. The question isn't what are we going to do? The question is what aren't we going to do? We had so many lasts come too soon, and now we have a chance to start over and have some firsts. Let's make it count. The memories created within the walls of EHS and beyond will never fade. Those games of Big Base taught us when we get knocked down, we will keep on running as our team cheers us on. We are resilient. We will pick ourselves back up and keep on running to the next base. And before you know it, we'll be seniors yet again, hopefully with no global pandemic, but hey, knock on wood. But right here, right now, we are seniors in a global pandemic who just graduated. Congratulations, everyone.
Ellen Jones, Board Representative of Independent School District 273, having completed the academic requirements of the Minnesota Department of Education and Edina Public Schools, may I present to you the Edina High School class of 2020 for the purpose of conferring the high school diploma.
I, Ellen Jones, Board Representative for Independent School District 273, accept the Edina High School graduating class of 2020 with all the honors, rights, and privileges accorded a high school diploma. Congratulations.
One of your classmates, Ben Wellborn, recently shared this story with me, and I found its timeliness perfect. Today, a 4-minute mile is commonplace, but it wasn't that long ago in the 1950s when it was widely believed and assumed that no human could run a mile in less than 4 minutes. But on May 6, 1954, British track star Roger Bannister was competing against 7 other men in a track meet in Oxford, England. The start of the race, he took off like a dart and he finished that finish line first. Immediately, all of his competitors piled on congratulations, even before he had a chance for himself to look up at the clock and see his time. 3 minutes and 59 seconds. It was a huge moment. It was an outstanding personal accomplishment through years of hard work, focus, and determination. And in that one moment, Bannister, all alone, broke through something that no one thought was possible. Now, the interesting thing was that Bannister's new world record only lasted 46 days. In fact, within a few months, more than 100 people had followed, all recording a 1-mile run in under 4 minutes. And when I heard this story, it really stayed with me. I'm sharing it with you today because you are each about to write the next chapter of your story. Of course, Bannister achieved something great for himself, doing the unimaginable in that moment. But what he achieved was something greater for others because he showed them what was possible. That is his real success, and it was remarkable. Each and every one of you has the power to create your own 4-minute mile record-breaking moments in your life. We see that in you. Hardworking, curious, compassionate, and nimble, especially in tough times. Life won't be perfect, and it's not supposed to be, but you will have exceptional moments, and many of them. And when you get there, because you will, your success and achievements will impact others. Make them remarkable. On behalf of the Edina School Board, Edina High School Class of 2020, you have made your mark in this moment because when the world stopped, you kept going. We hope that you feel nothing but pride today because you deserve it. Congratulations, graduates. Bravo.
Before we conclude our program this evening, I would like to recognize students from the class of 2020 who have passed away prior to this event. Timothy Cameron. Please join me in a moment of silence to honor the members of the class of 2020 who are no longer with us. Thank you. 2020 Hornets, beginning early tomorrow morning, the Edina High School administrative team, Superintendent Schultz, and members of the school board will be coming to your homes to award your diploma. Be ready in your cap and gown during your scheduled time for a photo opportunity with your family. The presentation of your diploma will be a celebration of all that you have accomplished and the power and resolve of our community. This is our alma mater. O long may she remain. Her colors green and white they stand in honor of her name. Though we shall leave her here, our love will ever be. And Edina, O Edina, we sing our praise to thee. Our alma mater was created by recording each of the 74 voices of the concert choir individually and blending them together for your enjoyment tonight. Please join them as a community in song. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening this evening and providing ongoing support for our Hornets as they begin to create their future. I now have the distinct pleasure of presenting to you the Edina High School class of 2020. Congratulations.